Yeah, we got this, which we're covering. We got Fox News, May Day. So May Day May Day has its roots in the American labor movement. The American working class is a part of the international working class. However, Labor Day in the United States of America is not on May 1st. We have our own Labor Day, right? And I think that's by design. Even though the initial May Day, it's an international event, but like it has its roots in America. It is the commemoration of the Haymarket movement, the Haymarket affair, if you want to call it that, or the Haymarket riots. And what's fascinating about it is that regardless of its inception, workers striking for an 8-hour workday, facing violent class trader police confrontation, it's an International Workers' Day, celebrating labor rights, and we try to do that here on the broadcast every Friday. That's like part of the reason why I always celebrate Fridays with Mufasa. The reason why I celebrate it is because it's to commemorate and it's to show respect to the workers that came before us that worked long and hard and actually even lost their lives. Like they put tremendous sacrifice into this movement, into labor militancy, to get some of the amenities that we take for granted now, like the weekend, the abolition of child labor, and many other workplace protections that in many visible and also invisible ways help us, right? Make our lives a little bit easier. And that's what's so interesting, I guess, about like American labor history. American labor history is very radical at times, right? And it's not so radical nowadays. But I will say that May Day participation from the broader labor movement year over year, the increase of May Day participation from the American labor movement year over year, I think shows promise. It says something. It shows that like there is an increase in class consciousness in this country, and there's an increase in workers recognizing their class position in this country. So I see that as a positive trajectory. The Haymarket Memorial is the smallest statue on the side of a busy street that didn't go up until 2004. The plaques on it from all around the world kind of fucked me up. The rest of the world genuinely cares about it more than anyone around here. Site of the Haymarket tragedy. On the evening of May 4th, 1886, a tragedy of international significance unfolded in the site in Chicago's Haymarket Produce District. An outdoor meeting had been hastily organized by anarchist activists to protest the violent death of workers during a labor lockout the previous day in another area of the city. Spectators gathered in the streets as speakers addressed political, social, and labor issues from atop a wagon that stood at the location of this monument. When approximately 175 policemen approached with an order to disperse the meeting, a dynamite bomb was thrown into their ranks. And you have the Iraqi trade unionists commemorating it. You have the Swedish Trade Unionist Confederation commemorating it. It's interesting that like this day is unbelievably significant for the international labor movement, and yet Americans don't have a national like public holiday around it, even though many countries around the world, even in like places like Europe, Turkey, where I grew up, May Day is very significant. May Day is when trade unionists, socialists, communists alike get together and participate in a day of action, a day of protest. And I grew up watching cops tear gas and use water cannons on protesters from the labor movement. And it's the same sight almost everywhere around the world. Now, of course, that's a testament to the way that capitalist countries treat their working class when they demand more, right? When they demand what's just, when they want to take home more of their productive output. And it's interesting because when you look at May Day celebrations in countries run by communist governments, for example, it's very different. In Cuba, it's a day of celebration. Mass movement, mass mobilization took place in Cuba yesterday. Same with China. In places that at least cherish a socialist history, the more labor protections these countries have, or the more they cherish this revolutionary history, the less resistance there is from the police. And in the United States of America, there's not really a lot of police resistance, not a lot of police presence at all, because it's altogether forgotten. But I think it's changing. It was very interesting to observe this significant day for the international working class, have more mobilization than I have ever seen in the United States of America in my lifetime. And it's only going to keep growing from here on out. That's the way I see it. But let's take a look at how Fox News covered it.
They're sweeping the country with left-wing groups organizing on a pro-socialist platform, calling to tax the rich. Watch.
The idea that my politics are too radical, I find somewhat laughable. It's not surprising that the Republican Party is going to attack me with that. I mean, these are a lot of people who've never worked a day in their lives. And if they have, it certainly hasn't been with their hands.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown. And if, you know, the ones that leave, like, bye.
The reasoning has always been from centrist Democrats claiming that people like AOC, people like Zohran Mamdani, people like Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib can only win in deep blue areas. Deep blue areas where the electorate resembles a genderqueer English major that is getting an education in a liberal arts college with 150 other people. Okay, that's not the case. They put Father Jihad on there. You're dead ass on the news regularly. How's that feel? Feels weird. Feels very strange. I don't like to be perceived like this. I like to control who perceives me. Things were a lot better when it was just us in here. You know what I mean? Nowadays, the Hasan Abi Clips industrial complex, as the chatter just pointed out, has moved to mainstream media. They are my clippers. The drama farmers on the independent side of YouTube have nothing on Fox News at this point. They're in here all day, every day. Oh my God, look at this. Virtually every single outlet has written a piece. New York Post has, oh, Jesus Christ. Post has two articles. Socialism, Mamdani's alma mater. Less than a third of New York City's Jewish voters think Mamdani's doing a good job. Jesus Christ, dude. David Marcus, rise of Marxism is a hydra Democrats created but can't control. Fox News, Los Angeles Times. Camera, normalizing Islamist extremism. Camera is a Israeli operation, by the way. The Committee for Accuracy in Middle East Reporting and Analysis is a major pro-Israel media watchdog. Yeah, it's literally an Israeli agent. New York Sun, National Review, Times of Israel. The fuck Times of Israel got to do with me? I hope the chatter that made this site got some free merch or something. Whatever the chatter wants. In any case, let's get back to it.
The Chicago Teachers Union declaring it a day of civic action. And as the labor movement continues getting traction with young people embracing a pro-socialist platform, one protester doesn't even know what he's rallying behind. Watch.
You got the Party for Socialism. You believe in socialism?
Not necessarily. Kind of.
You know what socialism is?
Not really. Not too much, but.
Bro, that's a kid. That's a child. You're putting a microphone on a child. He'll learn. Leave the child alone. He's like 14 years old, man. Who stuck the little man with that PSL poster, by the way? That's so funny.
Look at this, and I really miss Charlie Kirk. Yeah. I mean, he was somebody who was on the campus.
I mean, come on.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name.
This is in the most effective way possible.
Bro, what are we talking about? Are we really talking about how stupid people are in any movement? Like, we're talking about the lack of knowledge amongst Americans on issues like socialism. All four of these dumbasses don't know what socialism is either. Why? Why is that? If that's the standard for intellect, I mean, which, by the way, benefits our side of the argument, let's be real. But if this idea is that if you know what socialism truly represents, then you're a truly intelligent person, then none of the four dickheads on this panel actually meet that standard at all. And most Americans don't either. Most Americans are unbelievably propagandized against what socialism is. They're lied to about what socialism represents. They're told that it's a terrifying prospect. They're told it's a bad thing. Most Americans don't know why it's a bad thing. At least that guy is somewhat curious. I will take intellectual curiosity instead of shutting off this alternative mode of organizing the economy. curiosity towards socialism is infinitely better than assuming you know what socialism is and you hate it, especially when you're a working class individual.
He was effective in pushing back on what the left has been trying to do. They've had a captive audience for decades with indoctrination. And Charlie and Turning Point were providing that answer on campus, weren't they?
Well, Turning Point USA still exists, so why are you shitting on Erica Kirk? Are you saying that currently Erica Kirk is not carrying the flame?
We are Charlie Kirk.
Like, I don't understand. Is that the frustration here? Because I feel like Erica Kirky's carrying the flame. It's not like Charlie was like the most competent individual either, you know? He got carried a lot. He got carried by massive Republican mega donors, you know, titans of industry. He also got carried by the TikTok algorithm when the Chinese Communist Party was like terrified of TikTok being blocked in the country. So they were like, oh, we'll lean into this Trump shit, you know, which I guess gave him a stay of execution. And then they inevitably ended up giving TikTok to Americans anyway, which, let's be real. If I'm Chinese, I'm thinking, yeah, it was an unbelievable W that we got Donald Trump elected. Straight up. Who could have foreseen this? I don't think anyone could have foreseen this except for that one guy, the one Chinese father who famously said Trump is a great nation builder, but for China. It's true. He is. He has done tremendous damage to American empire, right? He has proven the acceleration is right. He's still doing that.
That while this is a failed ideology, it's also a potent one.
Yes.
And it's one that has to be countered. I mean, I've heard others say, oh, Zoran Mamdani, Katie Wilson laughing this off. It's socialist. It's just deep blue jurisdictions. No, this has an appeal to young people who feel otherwise maybe displaced or economically disadvantaged. And this is why it's so important to teach this. My mom said back when I was in school, they taught about the ills of socialism. Now we let kids skip school to protest essentially on behalf of socialism. Boy, how we've changed. And it's insidious when 68% of the Democratic Party says.
Yeah. Okay. May Day is an international public holiday. In most countries, it's a national holiday. It's a public holiday. Okay. Who cares if they skip school to go and protest? Like, no, May 1st is not a holiday in the United States of America. It's like, it's not even discussed in the United States of America. This is the first time. This is one of the first years in like the last couple of decades where May Day has had some kind of significance. I still don't know what May Day is. I'm 17, so this is probably why. Chatter, May Day is the International Workers' Day, okay? It's a national holiday in most countries around the world, with the even in Europe, usually. There's a lot of protests and a lot of demonstrations that take place on May 1st, okay? May 1st is the day that we're talking about, and it is to commemorate the Haymarket Affair in Chicago. Ironically enough, it is actually the international workers movement cherishing the American workers movement, right? And remembering the Haymarket massacre as well. And yet in the United States of America, we don't even think about it, and we have a separate Labor Day. I believe. What do you mean, even in Europe? I mean, come on. Europe is also a capitalist social democracy, right? Like, that's why I'm saying even in Europe. Because it's expected for nations of the periphery to have some kind of remembrance for, you know, any kind of revolutionary holiday. Because this is what it is. The only revolutionary holiday that Americans actually celebrate, ironically enough, is International Women's Day, which is another communist holiday. Once again, literally a communist holiday. And Americans, of course, don't ever mention that part because it doesn't suit America's propaganda purposes. Here it is, by the way. This is the only place where Labor Day falls on May 1st. And in many of these places, it's actually a public holiday, with the exception of the gray areas where it has no public holiday on May 1st or Labor Day. America has a separate Labor Day. The Greens have a separate Labor Day or don't have a public holiday on May 1st. Like normally, when you look at a map like this, when you look at like one of these maps that show you like, you know, the world versus the rest of the world versus the Western world, right? Like usually Europe follows America's lead. This is not one of those. This is not one of those instances. Like even Europe, even Western Europe is like, no, we celebrate it. It's important for us. It's so funny though, but it's funny because like America is such a domineering force of culture and also is so isolated from the rest of the world in many respects that most people don't even understand that. Most people don't even realize that this is a huge deal around the world, right? But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter because we don't celebrate it, so it must not exist. Well, it's the rest of the world that's celebrating it on our behalf, ironically enough. So yeah, there's a reason for it. So I don't fault you for not knowing what May Day is, chatter. If you're an American, of course you're not going to know what it is. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I always say if you're not teaching your kids about socialism and the virtues of capitalism, boy, somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know you guys are all over this. Fox is all over this. The reporting yesterday that there are 600 groups behind this that have $2 billion in funding, and it's being used in this manner. I keenly listened last week when Chip Roy said to me he's been having conversations with the administration that SPLC might have just been the tip of the iceberg and that they are actually looking at these Marxist socialist networks of groups and their connections. I really hope we see more litigation on that front if there is wrongdoing, because we've got to go after these organizations.
It's unbelievable that Kayleigh McEnany, previous press secretary for the White House, is over here being like, fantastic. Let's prosecute our ideological opponents, please. Yeah, these are the free speech guys, by the way. Free speech guys. We all know that it's bullshit, obviously, but it bears repeating. It's important to reinforce this idea that, like, free speech is just whatever they want. It only extends to their allies and their ideological enemies. They, of course, don't get any free speech. They want to prosecute their ideological enemies, okay? That's how it's always been. And that's how it will continue to be. So make no mistake. Marxism is hate speech, and that's not covered under the First Amendment, is the attitude here. It's awesome.
Kayleigh, let's broaden it a little bit, though, because this message is getting through in elections because we now have a list of socialists that I have said that the Democrat Party is now officially the party of Bernie Sanders. These are candidates running on the platform that 10 years ago Bernie Sanders was saying it and people were laughing it off. Now candidates are getting elected. It's not just
socialist-style Democrats with growing presence: Zohran Mamdani, Katie Wilson, Anna Lilia Mejia, Graham Plattner, Hassan Piker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Why am I on this list? I mean, this is an awesome list to be on, but it's so funny that they just like slam me onto it. Buddy, I'm a Twitch streamer. You're so stupid. Drake, bro, thinks he's on the team image. Bro, I don't think I'm on the team. I'm not doing that. They're making it seem like I'm running for not only just any office, but the presidency, okay? They're like, oh, this is Hassan Piker, this dangerous socialist. He's going to be president one day. It's like, no, I don't plan to do any of these things, okay? I am a fucking Twitch streamer who just pussy. Okay. What does that mean? Do you want me to run for president? Is that why you're calling me a pussy? Is that what it is? First time chatter? You're like, oh, dude, you're a pussy. You should. Now, what's funny about all this is that, first of all,
and pussy too.
That's the only thing I'm running for. Okay, I'm running in that direction. I'm running in the direction of
and pussy too.
That's right. But also, these guys are so funny. All my haters are so funny. They're like, bro, you never go outside. You never put yourself out there. Now I'm putting myself out there, and these guys are up my ass. And then they're like, oh, you're a pussy. It's like, buddy, you lose your mind when there's like a second of attention on you. Like if this community were to figure out what your other social media accounts look like, and then they start, yelling at you about your perspective for even like approximately 30 seconds, where you lose like a fraction of your anonymity, you genuinely lose your mind. You freak the fuck out. I have to exist under this microscope on a daily basis.
That's right. And Rachel makes a great point in saying if you're not teaching your children about this, someone is. You brought up the fantastic point today that preschools are teaching about social justice. I started thinking about my 3-year-old who can barely put a sentence together. And thank God his school doesn't engage in this activity, but there are schools that are. It's wild.
That's what they do in Cuba.
Yeah. My 3-year-old came out and said, Mommy, isn't sharing caring? And I said to my 3-year-old, you shut your stupid mouth. What are you, a socialist? Absolutely not. I told my dumbass 3-year-old, you have to extract as much surplus labor value from the people that you hire. Otherwise, they will steal from you. It's theft. Lack of exploitation is the true theft. Thank God I shut it down real quick. Made sure that my dumbass 3-year-old knew sharing is not caring. Sharing is communism and therefore terrifying. Yeah, sharing is a moral hazard. Stupid ass 3-year-old baby.
Watching a pop culture series, one of these series you follow show by show. I ended up stop watching it because midway through they were bringing these socialist ideas forward in a way that was packed.
Oh my God, she's not joking. Oh my God, she's sincerely saying that right now. That's unbelievable. She literally is like, no, my baby is not going to share the crayons. It's not even a bit. She's unironically being like, Bluey's a fucking communist. Bluey, it's more like ready, okay? Ready to seize the means of production. You better stop this real quick. Capitalism is anti-human. As far as ideologies goes, it's sociopathic, okay? All of the foundations, all of the social conditioning that you learn normally about, being a kind person, being a good person is antithetical to the capitalist indoctrination. And that's why you're seeing as contradictions worsen, as people recognize the design of capitalist society broadly, you're going to see a lot of propagandists who are servants of capital make increasingly insane statements.
Package so bright and shiny. The girl didn't have health care, and it was a sad story. And she gravitates towards taking on the higher ups and the elites, which makes sense on a surface level until you dig down and realize Ken Griffin is creating 15,000 jobs.
Yeah, that's what I told my 3-year-old. Ken Griffin is creating 15,000 jobs, stupid baby, stupid 3-year-old. No pied-à-terre tax for Ken Griffin, please. That's the kind of high-level intelligent conversations I'm having with my communist baby. I hate my communist seed.
Permanently 7,000 jobs with the project, and you run the billionaires out, you run the jobs out, the wealth, the taxation, the charitable income, etc.
What's the response, though, for the right? Like, how should the right respond to this trend? And, I mean, it's always been there, but now we're seeing them take power.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it because this trend is not a trend. It is a never-ending struggle. All history revolves around exactly this struggle. That's number one. Number two, the trend that you are recognizing is just people recognizing their current class position and their current day-to-day experiences worsening year over year and deciding to look for alternatives that have always existed, but it's an inevitability. The only time where this movement, this kind of movement, has been successfully tampered, successfully suppressed is both militarily through increasingly fascistic, increasingly authoritarian initiatives implemented not just in Nazi Germany or fascist Italy, by the way, certainly in the United States of America as well, under the guise of, liberalism, even though, as we already discussed, Haymarket affair is one great example of this, and there's a million other examples, but also it's been successfully suppressed by way of the welfare state. The welfare state has given a lifeline to liberal capitalism. And because of the unlimited greed of capital, they've forgotten that if you don't give any amenities to your industrialized labor class, if you constantly take away their well-paying jobs, if you take more and more of their productive output because there's diminishing there are diminishing profits no matter what due to technological expansion, and the appetite for more profit seeking never goes away. So you just end up suppressing your labor force because labor is the most malleable aspect of production. The gig economy is the only viable option for many American workers at this point. And when that's their reality and rent keeps going up, when there's an inflation crisis taking shape, accelerated due to the foreign interventions that our unbelievably violent government engages in, and an energy crisis that now is taking shape that's impacting America as well, all of a sudden, people are going to say, all right, well, we need something else. You're forcing their hand in many respects. You're forcing their hand into looking for different alternatives and finding out that those alternatives have always existed and perhaps even existed here in the United States of America before they were militarily suppressed. Here's Jesse Waters having John Fetty-Wap on Fox News to respond to these May Day protests as well.
John Fetterman. Okay, Senator. How big of a threat do you think this communist movement is?
Well, I mean, there's that phrase where terrible or bad ideas refuse to die, and it's very sad to see that kind of things being revisited in this kind of way. And a lot of these, these terrible groups like Code Pink and a lot of the other ones that are strongly aligned to the CCP, without a doubt, they're being financed. I mean, it's ironic. I mean, these kinds of protests are being funded by billionaires against billionaires. I mean, it's like a marriage of the Palestinian, the anti-ICE, the abolish ICE, and now turning it in to like an orgy of socialism here. And that's sad, because it's supposed to be about labor, like unions. I'm a proud pro-union Democrat, but the kinds of mess that you see are showing up.
Yeah, it's ironic because labor unions historically have always been about this. Throughout the history of trade unionism, it's actually, this is rare to see labor movements not focus on the international working class in any way, shape, or form. That's what labor unions used to do. Yeah, John is pro AFL-CIO. Yeah, that is, the American labor union movement has unfortunately morphed into this this pro-capitalist machine. Now that is hopefully going to change as well. But the reality of the matter is, for the longest time, the history of labor militancy has always been international. It's so funny that he's like, well, what's up with these labor unions and the international solidarity amongst the working class? Like, what the fuck is that about? What is this socialism shit coming from labor unions? What? Labor unions are not socialist. After all, we made it illegal for them to have any communism in the labor union. That is by law, by the way. It is literally illegal in the United States of America to this day for someone who is a self-avowed communist or any Communist Party member to run a labor union. Did you guys know that? That is the law in this country. First Amendment, by the way. First Amendment, my ass. Anyway, I always appreciate John Fetterman because, yes, he is living, breathing proof that brain damage makes you more right-wing.